to welcome you all to this meeting.
Thank you.
Of the Community and Environment Committee on this, the 28th of January. It seems to be flying. Item 1 is to receive apologies for absence and acceptance.
I have received an apology from Councillor Jane Best, who is not feeling well this evening. Are we accepting that apology, please? Yeah. Thank you very much.
No dissension.
Yes, from me.
Right. Item 2 is to receive any declarations of interest. No. Item 3 is to sign the minutes of the meeting held on the 10th of November. We've all had them. Is it your wish that I sign these at an appropriate time?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Any abstentions or against? No. Unanimous.
Thank you.
And item 4 is to receive an update on the outstanding decisions and consider further actions from that particular meeting and in the past as well. The first one I have on my list from the minutes is Operation London Bridge, which of course is a confidential matter, but we're just assessing whether further progress has been made.
No, we've made no further progress on that.
I think given this unusual circumstances that we're in during this COVID period, which has now gone on for a year, and no one appears safe from it, I think it's perhaps time we did finalise, please, the, well, it's my recommendation that we finalise those remaining items that have to be done under that item, if possible, please.
We've got some challenges around paying for certain items, so I will pick that up with you offline, Councillor Stockwood. Thank
you very much. And the other one from there, the wildflower planting. I can remember talking about it last time, and we asked for it to remain on the next agenda. Is it time to plant? Because I've bought some wildflower seeds myself for my own garden. We haven't taken this any further because, as you know, we've been without 2 members of ground staff at the back end of last year, and I believe that was one of the projects that was going to be picked up by the temporary member of staff. So I'd need to get an update on that. Councillor Lewis?
Yeah, I do have to defer to Mrs. Lewis on this subject because we do plant wildflowers in we have a wildflower meadow, and I think I'm right in saying that no, it's not yet time to be planting new plugs.
Thank you. So we'll have to have it on the next. Our next meeting is March, please.
March.
Yes, in March. So we'll have a further update on that. And the last one from the last minutes is CCTV, and Councillors Stockwood and Stapleton had an action to progress. Then Councillor Stockwood, have you any further news for us, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. As agreed at a previous committee meeting, the committee wants to see number 1, the existing 5 cameras updated. Number 2, investigate an additional camera on the northeast of the Market Square. Number 3, update the control system. And number 4, seek support and advice on how to achieve these improvements. FD. One source of advice is the principal authorities. Rushcliffe Borough Council doesn't have a CCTV scheme themselves, but Newark and Sherwood District Council is part of a partnership with Broxtowe and Ashfield District Councils. Newark and Sherwood District Councils have around 84 cameras in communities across their district, with 24-hour monitoring arrangements based at Nottinghamshire Police Headquarters. NSDC are currently reviewing their arrangements with the parish councils where their cameras are, and there is an opportunity to investigate Bingham Town Council joining this scheme. The way forward is for Bingham Town Council to share details of the existing CCTV arrangements with NSDC so that the initial capital costs of integrating the BTC equipment can be assessed. Once part of the monitoring arrangements, the cost of monitoring and maintenance would be an annual charge for BTC to pay to NSDC as part of the partnership. Overall, Bingham is a low crime area. So CCTV is primarily for addressing perceptions of public safety. The community-led plan in 2016 suggests increasing police presence as a solution, but this would be delivered by the Police and Crime Commissioner. Improving town centre CCTV is an action that Bingham Town Council can deliver. So committee is asked to agree to progress this action that Councillor Stapleton and I are, by Councillor Stapleton and I, is that we investigate joining the CCTV partnership of other councils through working with Newark and Sherwood District Council. So I'd like that to be agreed as an action for the way forward, for us to investigate that.
Yeah, I'll think to that.
Posing that, and
I'll second it.
who's seconding it?
Right.
Right. Councillor Lewis, thank you, seconding it.
Yeah.
So is everyone in agreement with that?
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
Thank you. So that's unanimous. So,
Yep, got that, thank you.
thank you. And I think that's the end of items that are not on the current agenda from the last meeting. So item 3 is to receive Q3 budget to actuals to 31st of December. And that's your Appendix B, which I'm just about to get on my other screen.
Councillor Stockwood, I think that as we're being recorded, it should actually be item 5, not item 3. Sorry to be pedantic.
Item 5. Yes. I thought I'd said that, but never mind.
Madam Chair, Councillor Stockwood.
Yes.
I welcome the fact that we're in budget on all of the budget to actuals to 31st December 2020 and note the report. Thank you.
Thank you. We're all in agreement with that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So item 6 is to consider the budget requirement for the year ending 31st of March 2022. We did look at this very briefly last time, and we anticipated no change. Has anyone any comments to make on this?
No.
Clark?
So the only thing I was potentially going to flag was with regard to the provision that's been made for the town guide, as to whether you still would like to see that in the budget. And I say that in regard to obviously the lockdown that we're in and the fact that the Old Courthouse still has a number of boxes which Councillor Purdue-Horan and Councillor Clark paid for to supply the town guides to the outlying villages, which obviously hasn't been able to happen yet. So I just wondered if you wanted to still include the town guide in the budget, or whether you would consider that, given the timing and what we're currently, the restrictions that we're living with at the moment, whether you wanted to take that out of the budget.
Well, Councillor Stockwood, will you comment on that?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is committee's thoughts on the draft budget moving forward. In terms of our both the receipts and the payments, there is of course a big uncertainty about the impact of the pandemic across the budget because of you know, the impact on our ability to carry out events and what that might mean in terms of the receipts and payments and the way forward. With regards to the town guide, there was some discussion at the last meeting of the desire to continue to see the town guide moving forward. I think there's two elements to the town guide within the budget. The first one is that it was felt by committee that they wanted to see the map updated to reflect all of the new Bingham, including North Bingham, which is a growing scenario. So there's a particular one-off cost element there relating to prepare the graphic work to produce a new map, marking all the streets in the way, or update the old hand-drawn maps that form part of the town guide. And then there's the actual cost of the town guide. So having listened to the debate at the last meeting, I understood that the committee's wish was that town guide was continue as best we can. So with regards to including it in the budget, then I think it is something that the committee wished to include in the budget. I think there's potential to move the new map element as a one-off cost to be paid for outside of the revenue account. But fundamental to the development of the draft budget for the Community and Environment Committee is that element that is about events, the summer fair, the Christmas fair, and any other events that we'd like to hold. And it's always been the case that the committee wants to progress as positively as possible in the belief that lockdown will come to an end. At the same time, we're aware that the national press suggests that lockdown measures, the legislation is in place until July the 7th. So there is an element of flexibility, and I think the way forward for events and planning the budget about what we might do about the summer fair, the Christmas fair, and any other potential events is to meet with Bingham Community Events Group and talk to them about what we can specify as this committee's wishes to provide a programme of events and encourage people back into the high street of Bingham when the lockdown comes to an end, and to have a meeting as quickly as possible with BCE about where we might be going with the budgets around town council financial support for the summer fair, the Christmas fair, and any other events that we can arrange together. But I do think the committee is looking, as I understand it, to have the town guide continue. But there may be an opportunity to review that budget in terms of the different elements of one, the biannual town guide, and the other, the one-off costs of upgrading the town map to include all of Bingham. Thank you.
Okay, well, I think that gives us a detailed explanation, but basically, fingers crossed and everything, we do hope that things will take place at some point this year. So I think it's reasonable at this time to sort of agree in principle that we keep the budget the same, given that we didn't do it last year, and that you know, the map could easily be taken out of reserves, I think, from this committee, because it's that's a one-off cost actually that we could bear. I'm not quite sure of the cost of such things, but I know the last one, when it was drawn up, wasn't very much at all. I'm sure things have gone up, but we'll see where we are on that. Like I say, so is everyone okay with roughly keeping it the same, and but bearing in mind what the clerk has said about the time guide and the what Councillor Stockwood has said about the both of those things, the town guide and what was the other one, Councillor Stockwood?
The events.
The events, yes.
Yeah.
Which I think we'll be discussing a bit later on anyway, on this agenda. So is everyone in agreement with that?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Unanimous again. So item 7, excuse me, is to consider and agree the committee's projects for the 3-year reserve expenditure plan. So it's a different screen I have to find. No. Yes, I've got it, thank you. Oh, Councillor Stockwood.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Currently in the 3-year reserve plan, you have one project which was CCTV.
Yes.
And if there is a big capital cost of connecting our system to the modern fibre used by other people's systems, then that might be more expensive than previously anticipated. But we also talked about the potential of the new map coming from reserves. And then there is the matter of the little Christmas tree light sockets. So each year we put little Christmas trees on around 50 properties around the town centre as part of our seasonal lighting initiative, should we call it? And each year there's a cost of an electrician to put up, to do the work to connect them up. There is an option of installing external sockets on the buildings, which would mean that anybody who is installing a Christmas tree can just plug the tree in and it will be illuminated that way. But there's a cost associated with installing a socket, which is a one-off cost, but then eventually, well, you then save the electrician cost that you're paying each year, and so by paying the one-off cost of installing the sockets, we would save money over a period of years, which would then pay for the cost. You know, the sockets would pay for themselves in the money that we save on the electrician each year. It's quite a number of years that you'd be paying it to pay it off, but my understanding is the lights in the town centre are very popular. Are likely to continue for many years into the future, and so this could be called an invest to save project, whereby we invest in putting in these sockets on the buildings, we save on the electrician costs going forward, and that would be of benefit in the long term with regards to the council's finance and the way forward. So I'm suggesting perhaps we might want to consider adding to the 3-year reserves expenditure plan to around £5,000 as a ballpark figure for light sockets in the town centre to support seasonal lighting displays. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Lewis.
Would it be an appropriate moment for me to say I'd like to support that suggestion?
Well, it's appropriate.
I'd like to second it.
Okay, thank you very much. I think perhaps all of us have been nodding our heads that this sounds a good idea, and I have heard the deputy clerk speak of it when we were showing all the lighting companies round the marketplace. The clerk wishes to speak, please.
Sorry, in addition to the reserve items, do you want to put a figure against the provision for the map, potentially?
Yes, I think that does go there.
£2,500.
We've just said we'll take it out of reserves as a one-off cost.
Yes.
But do you want it as a line item as part of the community environment projects? Is what I'm asking.
I'm going to bow to one
How
of
much
the.
did we say the map
two
would be?
people with the hands up. Councillor Stockwood was first, and I think he's going to explain more than I know about accounts.
So for each item in the 3-year reserve plan, we try and allocate an amount of reserves for that item. So if we're going to put the town map to be paid for from reserves, we want to say a figure of how much we think the town map might cost. Now, we don't have any graphic designers to give us a ballpark figure at the time. So if we put in a ballpark figure of £2,500, I'm hoping that that's about the right figure for a brand new map design. I would hope, obviously, that it comes in as cheaply as possible to be as effective and clear and an asset for the future town guides. But of that sort of figure, I'm willing to start the debate rolling as that sort of figure for a town map of cost. Thank you very much.
Hopefully we'll have a
Councillor
wonderful town.
Yeah, can I support that suggestion again, please? And if it's a proposal, I'll like to second it.
Thank you.
I think 2,500 is generous, but sensible.
Hopefully, I agree with you. There aren't many roads there yet.
So is that supported to add those additional 2 line items to the community and environment reserves?
Yes, everybody's nodding their heads again.
Right, thank you.
So the clerk is on her own this evening, so I was trying to give a little bit more time in between items to assist. Right. So we've moved to item 8, which is to recommend the adoption of the community emergency plan. But I think we've all had a paper today explaining that it isn't quite as it should be. So, okay, first of all, have you all had time to read that?
Yes, I have.
Right. Thank you. Yes, everybody. So, Councillor Shelton, are you speaking to this item?
I will be. I'm reserved for comment until after Councillor Stockwood, who's who, in conversation with him, has drawn up this document.
Okay, Councillor Stockwood, you're muted. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So I met with Councillor Shelton over the weekend, and we went through the current draft of the document. There's still some updates that can be added, and I made a list and have shared it with councillors. Hopefully, councillors, if you can collect any other points regarding the current draft from councillors want to make this evening, but hopefully councillors are aware of the matters that Councillor Shelton and I have identified, and a future draft could be include those updates for the next committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis.
Yes, I'm aware that there are a number of members of the public in attendance, and I think that some of those might be moved to speak or ask questions about whether the community emergency plan which being proposed, a 22-page document so far, constitutes an adequate response to the emergencies that we've already faced and the emergencies that we're likely to encounter in the future. So I wondered whether you'd like to consider suspending standing orders if that's necessary to allow members of the public to comment if they want to.
Well, actually, this is a duty of council to do this and to review it every year. And there's a pro forma sent by the county, who is in charge, to cover all of this. Our position is that we just enter up the details that have been requested on this pro forma and make sure that they are accurate each year. It isn't actually for members of the public to comment, and in fact the document does not actually get published. We merely say that it is available and that we have complied with that order, and that's the position. If anyone else has comments about that, have I explained it adequately? Councillor Shelton.
Yes, you have, Madam Chair. I'm just going to say that we are not the primary emergency response council. That is either the borough or county. We are at the lower end of that. And obviously, if anything happens and their officers turn up, they take full responsibility for handling that incident. We're there as primary, what might call first aid until they get to the location. So we are not the primary emergency response for council. It's either in the borough or county.
Okay, and as it's not complete in detail and not compliant, my suggestion is that the committee is asked to agree that it is updated with the matters discussed that we have raised this evening and on that paper that was sent to everybody, and the completed document be considered for recommendation to adopt at the next meeting, committee meeting on March the 23rd. That, of course, will then go to full council, and we will then begin the business that, it will be compliant with the first part of the next civic year. So, over the year, by the end of this year, we will be looking at getting it up to date for the following May meeting of the full council. That actually is the position we are in, Councillor Lewis.
Yeah. Can I just say that I would support that suggestion that we reconsider this at the next Community and Environment Committee meeting, which I think you said was on the 23rd of March.
Yes. And
then at the next available full council meeting.
Yes, well, that would be
a sensible time.
I'm actually asking for it to be updated and finalised by that date so that it can go forward.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think that sounds very realistic.
Thank you. That's the proposal, and someone is seconding it, and then thank you, Councillor Shelton. And can we all agree on that?
Agree.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. That's unanimous, Clark.
Thank you.
Item 9, we are just asked to note the dissolution of the Neighbourhood Plan Steering Group. I wasn't on this, but if anyone attending can just let us know of any correspondence that they received on it. Councillor Stockwood.
Oh, well, I think the clerk's had a letter to the council.
Oh, sorry.
But I do have a dispensation agreed for 4 years regarding the fact that I was on the neighbourhood plan steering group, and yes, it is dissolved, and I think we are to note it. I think there is a report being prepared by the chairman or chairperson of that committee that group to record the work that was done prior to the dissolution, and I presume that will be handed to council at some point in the future. But the town clerk's got a hand up. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
The only thing I would like to add to that is the neighbourhood plan steering group have returned a sum of money which has gone into general reserves, and that is £608.80.
Thank you.
So if you recall that council give them some funding to get off the ground, and part of that has been returned.
Okay.
Okay, so that's just
good
a note.
Yeah, it's good that what they've got so far is to be recorded and perhaps taken up into future years. We're just noting that. So to receive item 10 is to receive an update on the rural gigabit broadband voucher scheme. Are you able to explain this one, please, Clark?
Sorry, just a small update on this. We put all the addresses into the Openreach database, and we received the information back. The office, and we were told by the broadband officer that it was within the range of tolerances for this work. So we're starting on the next stage now. The office is talking with the Openreach officer, well, has left a message for the Openreach officer, who hasn't come back to us with the next series of questions. So as soon as we have an update, we'll update the committee accordingly.
Thank you. That's very clear, and I noted that it's that it's within the parameters that were set cost-wise so far. So if we can proceed with that, because I think there is a time that it's got to be finished by the end of April, hasn't it? Or the 1st of April?
I'm not sure of the date. I'd need to check the date, but I'll raise it with the office tomorrow.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
Madam Chairman. Madam
Yes?
Chairman.
Sorry?
31st of March 2021.
Right.
That's when it closes.
Thank you for that information, Councillor Purgeon-Horan. Right, item 11 is to receive an update on the J9 initiative, and agree the next steps. Now, we were all sent, asked if we wanted to get this training, and the Mayor accepted the invitation and did actually do the training. So I'm going to ask Councillor Stockwood once again to update us on this, please.
Thank you very much. I did attend the training, and I presented a report that briefly outlines the training that was received and identifies the way forward. So the J9 initiative is a domestic abuse awareness and support campaign active across the country. I attended the training, and the conclusion in the report is that the council is asked to agree to display the J9 sign at the old courthouse and to provide telephone access to domestic abuse survivors seeking to access support information from local service providers. Post a picture on the town council's website showing the sign in place and using the hashtag #J9Rushcliffe. Website news items are automatically republished on Twitter, and this will share the message that domestic abuse survivors are not alone in Bingham. To encourage council employees to take the training, this is a scheme that is primarily based in places of business. It's not a scheme that's run from people's homes. It's a place in public-facing businesses. The sign is displayed so that individuals know that this is a place where they can go in and access local service providers for support, and to use the Town Council's website and other publications to encourage Bingham businesses and organisations to take the training and further expand the network of safe spaces across Rushcliffe. So those items, I think, are a package of measures to take to support the J9 initiative within Rushcliffe and particularly within Bingham. So thank you very much. I'm happy to move that.
Thank you.
I'd like to second that, if I may.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis. I think we'll all agree what an excellent scheme this is, and fits nicely with, there are other schemes, which I know as the leading person on another organisation, we have had several talks from different organisations that can assist, but there's always gaps, and this fills one very nicely and advertises the fact that help is available to anyone who really feels that they are being abused. Thank you, Clark. Yes.
I do mute on. I would just like to say a resident has raised a comment just saying with regard to staff being involved, whether councillors would more likely be the first point of contact.
Well, I think that's been covered, Clark, because they very strongly suggest that we do not, as individuals, give our own addresses.
That's great. Thank you. I'll feed that back.
Thank you. I think we've all nodded again in agreement on that. Thank you.
I've nodded.
Yes. So item 12 is to consider a public engagement survey to identify wayfinding signage improvements. There's several bullet points: whether the existing signing is easy to follow. That is, are there locations where signing is missing that make it difficult to follow a route? The second bullet point is whether the destinations that have been signed are appropriate. If not, what destinations are missing and what destinations are included on the signing that perhaps might not be. And the third bullet point is whether the roads and footpaths the signed routes follow are considered the most appropriate and whether additional routes need to be identified. I think this is something that perhaps we need to put on the website and ask for for public views from everybody. We all take different routes when we're walking about. So, Councillor Stockwood, you seem to have your hand up. No one else?
Oh, well, I think the town clerk's got a hand up, but I think there might be a previous hand. No, she's moving another hand gesture. Okay, so briefly, the Rushcliffe Borough Council Growth Board, Brilliant Bingham Master Plan, item IN02 on page 51, suggests the need for improved walking and cycling wayfinding in Bingham. I have to say, nobody entirely sure on the Growth Board, as far as I can tell, what exactly walking and cycling wayfinding the improvements are necessary. So to facilitate understanding what wayfinding signage improvements are necessary, the views of the public could be sought. So the committee is asked to agree that the council publishes on its website a news item seeking the public's views on the questions relating to wayfinding as described in the agenda, and giving the public, say, 4 weeks to respond by email. and councillors could raise the matter with their local contacts and ask those in the community with an interest in this subject to respond to the consultation. So perhaps councillors know local walking groups or cycling groups who feel that, and to get their feedback on what are the issues with finding routes around Bingham and the street signage that supports, I think it's National Cycle Route number 15 that comes through Bingham, and any public and the public's views on those matters. So it's an item that's coming to us from the Growth Board's Brilliant Bingham Master Plan. It's an item of public consultation to get further detail on the views of the public as to what their thoughts are on this matter. It may be that some people feel there's too much signage already, and that conservation area doesn't need more signs, or it may be the case that people feel very particular about something in Bingham that's hard to find, other than car parking spaces, and have some views that they wish to share. So I hope that council or committee can support this bit of public engagement. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Lewis.
Yes, as councillors may well know, I am involved in one or two local community groups, and within those groups there are interest groups which are engaged in various kinds of activities, including cycling and including walking at various levels. And with COVID-19 and the restrictions on travel and car sharing, etc., etc., the availability of walking trails to local attractions, and in particular I'm thinking about the Linear Park, and I'm thinking about what we now call Archer Lake. They've gained in importance to members of the public, and you only have to look on True Bingham on Facebook to see that people are, don't seem to be aware that Archer Lake exists, and people can go and walk around it and enjoy it. And I think the same goes for members of, for instance, Bingham U3A, and there's also the Bingham Heritage Trails Association, which has identified various historical buildings and other locations in Bingham. So I would have thought that, that a lot of improvements could be made if there's the will to do it and the money in signage to local attractions.
Thank you very much for those comments. Primarily tonight we're seeking the views of the public by going on the website, and amongst us we are members of various groups and organisations which can assist us to bring back our own information and to feed into the clerk, really, that we'll have to go to you know, the results of what's on, what we find and what's on the public. Did you, Councillor Stockwood, say give them a month to decide? When is the next meeting of the Growth Board, whatever you call it? Councillor Stockwood, I did ask for that. Oh, the clerk.
Sorry, I know some dates have been sent through, but they're subject to change at the moment. So we haven't got a definite date for the next Growth Board meeting. But
it's likely, are they 3 monthly or 2 monthly?
3 monthly, quarterly, yeah, 3 monthly, yeah.
Okay, so, you know, we have a bit of time to get information back on this subject, and we will have it on the next agenda as well to see where we've got to, if that is okay with everyone. We have some nodding donkeys again, please.
Not
It's
so
better
much as
than
a
these
donkey.
long-winded formal votes, isn't it? Thank you. So, Clark has disappeared off my screen for the moment. Item 13, to consider arrangements for the Civic Awards. Now, we'd earmarked this for much earlier in the year, which will still be in lockdown. So I think it's going to have to wait till possibly June time, if we're lucky. I'm thinking of other things that have been cancelled in June, but we keep our fingers crossed we're not quite in the same national organisation as those things that have been already cancelled in June. So hopefully, you know, we all hope that the figures for the loss of life and everything of COVID are going to go down, but I don't think it will be in the immediate future. So under confidential matters, we will be discussing this item this evening. But whenever we're able to hold some sort of fair, possibly the June fair, if we're very lucky, but we have to delay the actual awards going out to the recipients, and possibly link it to something like the summer fair or a similar end of pandemic or lifting of lockdown or rejuvenating the town centre event. So it will have to wait until later on in the year, is my proposal. That's as much as I think we can anticipate doing at this moment in time. Is everyone in agreement with that?
Yes, I'm in agreement, and I would add that the Civic Awards ceremony is really something that needs to be done face to face, and it would be an absolute last resort if it had to be run online, if indeed such a thing was possible. So I think we review it again nearer June, but like yourself, Madam Chairman, I'm not really very hopeful of being able to do anything in June.
Thank you. So is everyone okay with that?
Agreed.
Thank you. Pen's run out. And item 14, to consider the status of the summer fair for this year. And, you know, the suggestion earlier is that we need, for the budget and everything, to proceed to work with Bingham Community Enterprise as soon as we can. And I understand there is a meeting of their trustees later this week, so we will have some news almost immediately, hopefully. I see Mrs. Hutchison is with us this evening, and I wonder if we suspend standing orders for a brief update, please, from Councillor, from Mrs. Hutchinson.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Agreed.
Thank you. Suspended standing orders. Elizabeth, would you like to speak?
Hi. Sorry, I had a mouthful of dinner there. Yeah, we've got a trustees meeting on Friday just to discuss what plan of events it will have for the upcoming year on the Market Square. Obviously, we still need to have a conversation between ourselves and yous to ensure that we have a full criteria from you of what you want us to deliver, and budget, things like that. We're definitely prepared and happy to help wherever we can. But I don't really think I can add anything else to that at the moment until we have chats.
Thank you very much on behalf of all of us. Thank you we look forward to working with you again. So I'll reopen standing orders.
Okay, thank you.
So everybody happy with that?
Agreed, Madam Chairman.
Agreed. Thank
Yes.
you. Item 15, the everlasting problem of to review the existing dog litter bins and receive the recommendations from the Recreation and Amenities Committees for additional bins at Buttfield and Winhill. Have the situation where bins on recreation parks are discussed by them. I think the budgets are within our budget, so it's sort of a bit cross-cutting, I think we used to call it. So once again, I think, Councillor Stockwood, you have provided us with what's gone on in the past. It's just fishing for that copy. Okay.
Madam Chair, I just couldn't let it go that I'm very proud of my bin report from 2010. It had a nice mapping and everything. I put loads of effort into that. It's one of the first things I did as committee chair, and wouldn't want it to be lost to history without being reflected upon in looking forward to the future. So the bins don't change a great deal, but we have added some new ones over the years.
Right.
And I think there's an opportunity to, what we do, review, make sure we've got an accurate list of where all the bins are, which ones we empty, which ones are emptied by Streetwise, the state of each bin. Over the years, the council has come to prefer lidded bins because open top bins, in hot weather, they attract wasps and they smell. So it is the case that moving forward, there is it would be a good idea to update the old information to make sure we can explain. We've got an up-to-date map of where all the bins are, what state they're in, and to plan how to use the budget to replace them with brand new bins where necessary, or repair them if that's possible. With regards to the requests from the Recreation and Amenities Committee, these are driven by, I think, particular experiences during the pandemic regarding littering, and the suggestion that there would be a good idea to have some more bins at Winhill and Buttfield. With regards to the speed at which action would be taken, I would suggest that the Winhill bin is suggested near what used to be the old teen play equipment site, which sometimes has excess of littering nearby. But at Buttfield, the area where they're talking about where additional bins have been requested, is actually part of the Buttfield's future plan for a reconfiguration of the pitches, whereby that area would be more dedicated to sports use and not accessible to people who are littering casually. So it might be the case that we take immediate action at Winhill and consider additional bins at Buttfield in line with the developing position on the way forward for improved sports facilities at that location. But I think the recommendations have come forward. They're driven by concerns about littering, and a review of our existing facilities as well would be a timely way to make sure that we're targeting our resources and keeping our bins functioning and repairing damage and upgrading as necessary. Thank you.
And I don't think some people realise that both litter and dog waste can be put in each bin. It is general across the borough that happens now. Councillor Stapleton.
I think there was talk as well as the metal bins up at the park due to the children setting fire to them. So is that in order as well with the metal ones at the park?
That'll be their committee. Clark?
Yes, that was the suggestion for Win Hill, given the pyrotechnics that we've previously experienced, yes.
Yes. I don't see what the attraction is in setting fire to one, but this happened over the years occasionally in various parts. Everyone happy with that one? Yes, nodding heads all round. Thank you. Hand raised.
Yes, happy.
Item 16, to receive councillor reports. Any councillors have a report on anything they've attended? I think most have been covered on the agenda this evening, haven't they? And we do get the Friends of Linear Park sent to us each time, so they're information. So we'll move to item 17, which is to discuss the correspondence from Rushcliffe Borough Council regarding conservation areas and areas of outstanding beauty, which is actually a national project. Rid of all my paperwork on other subjects. I know we've all been sent by a reply to this that was given to the group on Rushcliffe by one of the other councillors, and Rushcliffe councillors have been asked to reply to this as well. And as a Rushcliffe councillor, I have sent my reply in. What are the feelings of the committee, please? Councillor Stockwood, your hand has eventually gone up.
Well, I might be second in the queue behind Councillor Shelton. There was a brief flash of hand from Councillor Shelton.
I can't see one.
Well, it was okay. It must have been my computer that.
No. Oh, it has got one now.
There we go. He's muted though.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Shelton.
Yeah, I mean, I actually would sort of agree that the Vale of Beaver site of special site of interest, nature interest. I think it'd be sad for it to be completely ruined by buildings. But obviously some of the other Rushcliffe councillors think different.
Yes, I think each area, councillors for each area are trying to protect their wards, and the feeling there that they are, have not been put forward for this, I think. But we did have this question raised to us during last year, and it came from our MP, I think, who was supporting this, and we gave a positive answer then. Is it the feeling on anyone in the this committee that feelings have changed? We said then that we fully supported the giving support actually to the area of it being designated an area of outstanding beauty. And as for conservation areas, I think we're all trying to protect those and what goes off in conservation areas. It's up to us, this generation, to conserve the best of what has been passed in the past. Two different spellings there. Councillor Lewis.
Yeah, I've been reading this email from Councillors Walker and Gaunt, and it seems to me that this is a bit of a political football, to be honest, and that they're opposing the Vale being designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty on the basis that it might lead to Ruddington being spoiled, because the building would then be concentrated in Ruddington rather than the Vale of Belvoir, and frankly, I don't follow that or support it. Really, the Vale of Belvoir clearly is an area of outstanding natural beauty. I don't think anybody really seriously disagrees with that, and I think we should all support it being so designated. So I'm afraid I'm not with Councillors Walker and Gaunt on this. I think we should go with the view we've already expressed, which has been explained by Madam Chairman, Councillor Stockwood. So I agree with that approach, if I can put it that way.
Any further? Oh, Councillor Shelton.
Yeah, just to say that, is this another way that we could protect Warners Field as well within this? I would agree that the Vale of Belvoir should be listed, but is there any point of you using this to try and protect the Warners Field from being developed?
No, I can categorically say no on that. This is for large areas throughout the country and not small designated fields belonging to parish councils. Or,
Kate, I would agree that the Vale of Belvoir should be so designated.
Thank you. That's that. But conservation areas, the chairman of that group at the borough does wish to know what our thoughts are on that. Do we find anything confusing or helpful in conservation areas? To help, if I can, one of the things I've pointed out is that we get notified of tree works in conservation areas, which the owners of the trees have to do, only after the tree officer has inspected them and gone and made his decision. Well, I think in some really delicate cases, such as, there was in the past, historically, something came up in the Bingham marketplace. And, we should know about these things before a decision is made on whether to lop trees or reduce, crown reduce and things. Definitely support the tree officer if it's for the health of the tree, but if it's just someone that perhaps wants to build an extension and within our conservation area there are views, I've forgotten how the wording is, but it's something about a certain view, say of Warner's Paddock. The trees around that contribute to the street scene, and so we should be really anxious. And that's another example I could quote. I drove along the banks one day, a couple of years ago now, and a whole row of trees had been lopped, taken away altogether. Well, you know, we didn't know anything about that. And yes, we were told they were old, diseased, and that afterwards. But it would nice if these sort of things don't come as quite a shock. So I've asked for more consultation on trees. Sorry for that long explanation, but I'm not exactly a tree hugger, but I do feel we need a little bit more information at times. So is that your wish that I have included it in my personal answer to the borough. So if anyone, you are entitled to actually send in your own opinion, but the opinion of the committee seems to be to strongly support the area of the Vale of Beaver being an area of outstanding beauty, and to nobody else has raised any concerns about the conservation areas. It's not that long since ours was renewed. Sorry, Councillor Shelton.
If that's a motion, I'll second it.
Thank you.
I'm in favour of it too.
Yeah.
I should say, perhaps, Madam Chairman, that I have been approached on various occasions to get involved in sort of pressure groups, not necessarily anything to do with Bingham, but around and about, and it's very difficult. I always decline to get involved in things like, for instance, there's a pressure group getting together to try and oppose the construction of a large solar farm near Musson, and suggestion that I should use such influence as I have to support that group. Well, there you have the competing interests of green energy and reduction of carbon footprint against local residents who think that a large solar farm would be detract from the beauty of the area and so on and so forth. So really, I don't think Bingham Town Council should get involved in this kind of thing. I think we should just say, as we have done, that we support the Vale being designated as an area of natural beauty, and leave it at that, really.
Thank you. Outstanding beauty, I think, is the phrase.
Outstanding natural beauty, yeah.
Okay, everyone in agreement with that? Okay, the clerk.
Sorry, can I just check? So there's no comment to be made in regard to the conservation area, only in regard to the Vale of Beaver being designated appropriately.
Yes, that seems to be the general view.
Thank you.
Thank you. As I say, our own conservation area is pages long if you go on the borough website. So that is
not alcohol, by the way.
Yeah. So item 18 is to receive any further correspondence that's come up. Clark?
Sorry, there was a piece of correspondence that I circulated to the chair this afternoon in regard to the street names for the new unit near the new units of the Moorbridge Road East. Unfortunately, we've only got 21 days to reply to this, and we don't have another meeting beforehand. Does the committee wish me to read this out?
Yes, I haven't seen it, certainly.
Yeah. I am writing to consult with you about two proposed street names, Cardyke Court and Parson Hill Avenue. These two names are proposed to be used to address new units being built off Mowbridge Road East under planning reference 18/01750/FUL. I did not want to use any of the First World War names as it does not seem appropriate on an industrial estate. I consider these two names to be suitable as they refer to nearby landscape features, and unless I receive any objections from you, I intend to use these two names. I look forward to your comments as soon as you are able to send them. As usual, I allow 21 days for your reply, so before the 17th of February 2021, please. I just wanted any comments that the committee may wish to make.
If I may say so, Madam Chairman, I think Cardyke, was it Cardyke Road or anything to do with Cardyke?
Cardyke Court.
Cardyke Court. It does have, in my submission, some rather negative connotations for the residents of that part of Bingham that border on the Cardyke, in view of the fact that the thing's flooded many times in the past 12 months. So I think that perhaps the residents of that street, or potential residents, ought to have a say in whether that name is adopted.
Councillor Lewis, I think you may have the impression that it's residents. It is an industrial area that's being given a name, and it's not felt appropriate to name after the World War I and II fallen. The clerk had her hand up, and then followed by Councillor Stockwood and Councillor Shelton.
Sorry, I was just going to reiterate the point you just made, Councillor Stockwood.
Thank you. Councillor Stockwood, you were next with your hand up.
So, just from my understanding, then they're getting the roads of small industrial units in the field next to Butt Field.
Yes.
And on those roads, they're going to give them the grand names of Cardyke Court and Parsons Hill Avenue for the roads within the industrial units.
Yes.
Is it an avenue when you just have a row of industrial units? It sounds very grand names for what they're actually going to be involved in building.
Yes.
I can see how there might be a court involved, but Parsons Hill Avenue would be is I think to call it an avenue when it's basically a road through. It's nothing more than the extension of Mowbridge Road East, really. Or is it just that the side roads get called Avenue and Court, and the main road continues as Mowbridge Road East?
It sounds like it's to attract the upmarket people for these units.
These are small industrial units.
Yeah.
It's going to be called Parsons Hill Avenue. Okay.
Avenue, if you look up the
trees, isn't it? It's tree lined.
Yes, it's a tree lined things. It is a tree lined road. If you look it up in the dictionary. Yeah. So what was that one again?
So it's Cardyke
Hill Avenue, is it?
Cardyke Court and Parsons Hill Avenue.
Right. Parsons Hill Place would be better.
Yes.
Anyway, Councillor Shelton, you wish to speak.
As it's an industrial area, not the residential, it doesn't really break with the naming protocols we decided to use for the residential area. So, with the sort of slight alteration of what you've just suggested, I can't see a problem with that.
Is everyone happy to suggest place rather than avenue?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And Cardyke, that whole area is known as Cardyke, really. Well, it is, you know. I'm at a water board meeting on Thursday, so, you know, it is very near to Cardyke, so I can't see any objection to that. So everybody seems to be happy with those names with that slight alteration. Well, Councillor Stockwood.
What about Butfield Avenue? Hey?
It isn't an avenue, we've decided.
Oh, all right, fine. Get it. You know, tried.
Okay.
I just think, you know, if it's the road towards Butfield, calling it Butfield Avenue would be a good choice. But I'm happy to go with the committee decision on this. Sorry.
Yeah. Me too.
Thank you. Right. I've got the thumbs up from the clerk that we've all agreed that. So I think that is the main part of the meeting. Item 9D is to resolve that in view of the confidential nature of the business about to be transacted, the press and the public be excluded for the remainder of the evening, of the meeting rather. All those in favour of that? Agreed. Thank you. Okay, I think we've got to sign off and end this meeting at 8:16 and go on to the other part of the meeting, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Clark.